Guys, how's it going? My name's Dan and welcome to the first episode of Mental Health Monday on Plus Us 2. Right, in this episode I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and a background to my kind of personal mental health experiences. I think I'll start from the very beginning when I was born. I had an asphyxiated birth which meant I didn't get enough oxygen, and that gave me damage on the occipital lobe, which is the sight part of my brain. That gave me seizures from a young age, and those seizures might have actually made the damage worse. At 13, I started to get quite bad depression, and I started self-harming at 13 as well. I used to do small scratches and stuff like that on my arm, which I could easily blame on the cat if my parents ever asked. At that age, and until about age 17, I was just ashamed of having depression, because I thought I didn't have any good reason to actually be depressed. And about age 14, 15, it started to get much harder to hide my depression. So I started acting out quite a lot. My grades plummeted. I can remember a time when my dad was shouting at me because of how bad my grades had got. And I think it was my mum, she said that I should go see a counsellor or psychologist because I clearly was struggling with that being depression or hearing voices that I could differentiate between being real and fake. And when she suggested that, I punched through double glazing in my bedroom, and from then things started to get much worse. I started drinking quite heavily and taking codeine at that kind of time, at about 15. And, the drinking I think started about 14, and it was quite heavy, especially for someone my age back then. I started taking codeine at 15, which is an opiate, quite similar to morphine or heroin, but a bit not as strong. And I became addicted to that. I simply just wanted to block out the violent voices, thoughts, whatever you want to call it, mind's eye. It was evil, and it only got worse in years to come. Also, at about age 15, I started taking legal highs, and if you take anything away from this episode, make sure it is don't take legal highs. It messed my brain up. It's triggered my epilepsy. And the guy that I was smoking it with, it gave him brain problems as well. So, yeah, don't take them. At 17, things got worse again. My depression got worse, and my drinking, though I'd stopped the legal highs and the codeine at that point, my drinking became crazy. And when I started drinking, that's when I started self-harming too. When I got to 18, that's when things went south straight away. Things got really bad. I got a undiagnosed chronic pain problem in my brain, and as soon as I got it, I went straight into hospital. That pain was 24/7, every day, every minute. I was light sensitive, and it lasted for about 8 months. I just lay in bed every minute of every day wearing a sleeping mask just to block out all light. As soon as I went into hospital, they started me on Oromorph, which is morphine that you drink. And I was on 5 millilitres as soon as I got in 3 times a day. At the end of that week, I was on 15 millilitres 3 times a day. And then they let me take it home, and they gave me repeat prescriptions of it. And I had easy access to codeine as well, and tramadol. So I was taking morphine, tramadol, different types of codeine, and on top of that, naproxen and indomethacin, which are 2 other painkillers. And I became heavily addicted to all of those. Just lying in bed, smashed off my face every minute of every day, just to block out all of the pain. And then my parents took them all away, and I detoxed, and that was the single worst experience of my life. I was in complete agony because of the chronic pain, but because of the detox, it made pain all over my body. I was getting hot and cold flushes. I wanted to chuck up every minute. It was horrible. But after that, my neurologist, my brain doctor, he actually found pills that actually just stopped the pain. It just stopped. You'd think I'd be happy because of all of that, but to be honest, I wasn't. I couldn't deal with not having the pain or the painkillers. It was every thought, every minute of every day, instead of being in pain every minute of every day, it was me thinking, when is that pain going to come back? And I hadn't dealt with how to deal with, like, I didn't know what to do. That was all I was thinking of. And all that pain made me have to drop out of college. But within a month of starting on those pills, uni had actually offered me a place. And within a month, I was at uni. I didn't have any time to fix myself, to get over what had happened. That pain was 8 months worth, just solid every minute of every day. So I went off to uni by myself, didn't know anybody, never been to the place where the uni was. And I managed to get a prescription of codeine. So I started back on codeine, even though the pain was gone, because it was familiar for me. And it blocked out the depression. It blocked out the thoughts of when is that pain going to come back. So I carried on with that, and then I had a lung infection, quite a serious one, which caused pain. It's always about pain, but then I got a Tramadol prescription as well. So I suddenly had a big pile of opiate pills again. And as soon as that all ran out, I cross-addicted to alcohol. And I used to drink a hell of a lot of it. And then that was before. And because I was at uni, that kind of lifestyle, I was drinking so much. And because I am an addict, that quickly moved to about a litre of vodka nearly every day, plus heavy binges on top of that. And that's when I moved on to weed. And I had smoked weed in the past, not much of it. I didn't really like it. But at uni, suddenly I loved it. And I went from smoking a 10 bag every other day to about a 20 bag every day, all the way to a 40s every day, which was 4 or 6 grams a day. And all I did was just lie on the sofa, watch TV, eat takeaway pizza. I didn't go to lectures, didn't get changed. I looked like your stereotypical addict, just nothing there. I was blocking out my depression, even though I was still self-harming. And I was blocking out the thoughts of the pain. I was blocking out the voices that just kept on battering my insides. I then failed uni. I didn't get enough, I didn't pass the exams. But I then quit weed. I just stopped it, which in itself was actually quite bad because it just made everything psychologically 10 times worse. And again, I cross-addicted back to alcohol, and I was back full-blown pretty much alcoholic, but I was back living at home with my parents, so it was quite hard to hide it. I then went to visit a friend at uni who was still at uni that term, who he just hadn't broken up yet. So I got on the train at about 9 a.m. and I started drinking. I then got to his about 1, I was drunk, and I carried on drinking. And he started drinking at about 5. We both went to a club that night, and I lost him straight away, and I moved on to tequila and a million other spirits, and I got completely hammered. But I was beyond depressed, and that night I tried to commit suicide. I walked into the middle of a road, country road, completely black, laid in the middle of it. When I didn't get hit by a car, I slashed my arms and passed out in a thorn bush. And I didn't die. Which now I'm amazingly grateful for. My friend, he drove me back that next morning, me still smashed, completely covered in blood and everything else. And I went straight to A&E. And they said, okay, I need help. I had had counselling and all of that before, but it didn't do anything. And that's when I realised I did need proper help. Not a counsellor, nothing like that, but inpatient stuff. So between the time of going to A&E and going into the psychiatric hospital, they put me on antidepressants because of the suicide attempt, and got into hospital and they put me onto the addiction program. And I stayed in the hospital for about a month. In 2 weeks I was on the addiction program, but I knew it wasn't the right program for me. And after a lot of screaming and shouting and all of that, they actually moved me onto the psychiatric other side of it, which was CBT. And that helped me an amazing amount. And they also started me on antipsychotics. And as soon as I started on those, that second side of me, those voices, that mind's eye, that everything, the evil just kind of vanished. And it was just me in my head, which, I didn't have, before I was 12, it must have been about 12, that's when I was last like this. And it's just amazing. And I'm so grateful that I did the inpatient, that I did take my pills, because now I'm a completely different person. And I do know a lot of people do have bad experiences with inpatient and mental health systems. But, personally for me, it was a miracle cure. And I most likely wouldn't be alive today without it. Well, that is me summed up in one episode. So, if you liked it, do remember to rate, comment and subscribe. And if you do have any questions for me, send them to the Facebook page, which is +us2, or drop me an email at +us2.mentalhealth@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be part of the Skype Saturday episode, where you can talk to me and share your experiences with everybody watching, send me a message on Facebook or drop me an email again, but add your Skype name and a little bit about yourself. But thank you for watching, and I will see you on Saturday where I'll be talking to one of you. Alright, in some bizzles.